Hello to all of you wonderfully killy people. Welcome to Let's Get Critical. My name is Waaagh. Here is the roster for Kill Team Commandos. I usually say there are three types of kill team. You have elite kill teams, standard kill teams and horde kill teams. The Commandos are a 10 or 11 operative standard kill team. You have one Kommando Boss Nob operative. It's a mandatory selection. It has two fixed weapon loadouts, which are Slugger and Big Chopper, or Slugger and Power Claw. And then you're left with a choice of choosing 9 Commandos operatives from the following list. You have Squig, Boy, Breacha Boy, Burna Boy, Comms Boy, Dakka Boy, Grot, Rokkit Boy, Slasha and Sniper. Other than Kommando Boy operatives, your kill team can only include each operative on the list once. The Squig and the Grot operatives count as a half selection, so you can select both of those and it's treated as one selection in total, and that's obviously how you can end up with 11 operatives, because you remove one of the Kommando operatives and replace it with the Squig and the Grot. If you're playing using the approved ops mission pack, then you'll get to choose your tac op from either infiltration or seek and destroy. And if you play using the preliminary ops in the core book or the kill team light rules on the app, then you won't have to worry about those. Next, we're going to have a look at the faction rule for the Commandos kill team. Commandos faction rule, throat slitters. Each friendly Kommando operative, excluding Squig, can perform the charge action while it has a conceal order. Now this faction rule is so simple and so effective in the kill zone that all the times that I've played it, you just never get bored. Each one of your Commandos operatives, except the Squig, can charge while it has a conceal. It's an absolute classic, and it's been the same with the Commandos for many years. The normal way to fight in kill team is to put your operatives onto an engage order, and then you'd obviously spend one action point to charge into the enemy to enter their 1-inch control range, and then you'd spend one action point to perform the fight action. After you've fought, let's say you kill the enemy, you're then left out in the open with an engage order, so the rest of his team can just try and shoot you down. But the Commandos though are allowed to charge while on conceal. So they can spend an action point to charge and then enter the enemy's control range. They then spend one action point to fight, and if they kill the enemy, they're left on conceal, and quite often if they're within 1 inch of terrain, you can still use that terrain to stop yourself being a valid target. Now, I've played about 50 games with the Commandos, and the number of times that I've charged in, killed an enemy, and then been left out in the open, but I'm safely behind some terrain, is just massive. You really can just move across the kill zone and just kind of go where you want. And if anything, you know, if anyone gets within your 8-inch charge range, then you just have to spend an action point to charge and have all the fun in the world. I don't think you have to play much kill team to realise just how effective this faction rule is, and I'm going to give it a maximum score of 5 out of 5. If you haven't had a game with the Commandos, you really should try them out for yourself and just see how much fun they actually are. Let's dive in now and look at the operatives for the Commandos kill team. Kommando Boss Nob, 3 APL, 6-inch move, 5 up save and 14 wounds. He has one range weapon called a Slugger. It's 4 attacks hitting on 4s with a 3-4 damage profile and a range of 8 inches. And he has 2 melee choices for his weapons. He has a Big Chopper, which is 4 attacks hitting on 3s, 5-6 damage with the punishing weapon rule, or he can choose a Power Claw, which is 4 attacks hitting on 3s with 5-7 damage and the brutal weapon rule. So as far as his core stats go, the 3 APL is always brilliant in kill team, so is the 6-inch move. The 5 up save is not brilliant, it's just, you know, a bit decent really, it's actually not that good, and he has 14 wounds. So there are ways, as you'll see later in the video, you know, to kind of give him a better save and to make him a bit more survivable, but his standard save isn't really good. He does have a special action. It's called Get It Done, and it's 1 action point. It's a support action, and you select one friendly Kommando operative, excluding Squig, visible to and within 6 inches of this operative, and until the end of that operative's next activation, you add 1 to its APL stat, and this operative cannot perform this action while within control range of an enemy operative or while counteracting. So there are lots of kill teams that have got some way to add APL to their own operatives, and in the case of the Boss Nob, he has to spend one of his action points to transfer it to an operative within 6 inches of him and visible to him. Other kill teams have got faction equipment choices or ploys, but he has to spend one to transfer one. I've used this action on loads of occasions, and it's always best to have a small band of operatives around him to protect him from enemy charges. I usually use the Slasha Boy and a normal Kommando Boy set up around him as a bodyguard unit, and it's always great that I can transfer an extra action point to one of those if needed. The Slasha Boy can perform shoot, charge and fight actions, and the Kommando Boy, the standard boy, has got smoke grenades and stun grenades, so they always come in really handy. The Boss Nob's weapons are really good, the extra APL is really good, and the ability to pass it on to other operatives makes him a real asset in the kill zone, and I'm going to score him a maximum 5 out of 5. Let's look at the next operatives in the Kommandos kill team. Kommando Breacha Boy, he's 2 APL, 6-inch move, 5 up save and 10 wounds. He has one range weapon called Slugger. It's 4 attacks hitting on 4s with 3/4 damage and a range of 8 inches. And he has one melee weapon called Breacha Ram, which is 4 attacks hitting on 4s with 5/5 damage, brutal, severe and shock. So now we get down to what the core stats look like. It's more like a standard Kommando Boy. You know, these standard Kommando operatives, apart from the Boss Nob, are all 2 APL. They've all got 6-inch moves and they've all got 5 up saves, but now we get down to 10 wounds instead of the 14 we saw on the Nob. He, like so many of them, has a Slugger, and he also has his Breacha Ram weapon. I mean, it's really solid apart from the hitting on 4s. I mean, 4 attacks is not, you know, is okay, but the hitting on 4s, the 5/5 damage is really good, and brutal, severe and shock means that, you know, it does have quite a punch to it. It's a very strong weapon, everything except the hitting on 4s. He's also got a unique special action, and it's called Breach. It costs 1 action point. You place one of your breach markers within this operative's control range as close as possible to a terrain feature within control range of it, and whenever an operative is within 1 inch of that marker, it treats part of that terrain that are not more than 1 inch thick as accessible terrain. This operative can perform this action during the charge or reposition action, and it can do so for 1 less AP during those actions. Any remaining move distance can be used after it does so. This operative cannot perform this action while within control range of an enemy operative, or if a terrain feature isn't within its control range. So I've used the breach special action, you know, lots and lots of times, and it's always really useful. You can get him into some really advantageous places, and if your opponent isn't aware that this operative can actually just bash a hole through the terrain and charge through, then he's quite easily going to get some of his own operatives injured or killed. It's surprising how much of a tactical advantage it can actually offer you in the kill zone, and after he's smashed the terrain into an accessible point, other operatives can then charge through behind him and they can reap havoc as well. But just remember, the enemy can use the breach point as well, so you have to be careful. The Breacher operative is always included in my selection roster, and I'm going to score him a very solid 4 out of 5. His weapon is very strong, so is his special action, and I would highly recommend taking him every time you play this kill team. But now let's move on and look at the next operative. Kommando Burna Boy, he's 2 APL, 6-inch move, 5 up, save and 10 wounds. He has one weapon with 2 profiles. It's called Burna. The first profile is called Standard. It's 4 attacks hitting on 2s with 3/3 damage, range of 8 inches, Saturate and Torrent 2. And the other profile is called Deluge. It's 4 attacks hitting on 2 with 3/3 damage, a range of 4 inches, Saturate, Seek Light and Torrent 0. His melee option is called Fists. It's 3 attacks hitting on 3s with 3/4 damage. There's a note down here at the bottom that says the torrent 0 on the deluge profile means that you cannot select secondary targets, but the weapon still has the torrent weapon rule for all other purposes, like the condensed stronghold rule in the core book for Killzone Volker, so it still gets like lethal 5s up on crits and stuff. But the Burna profile is that's it. I mean, this is obviously kind of like a standard flamer. He's got the standard core stats of 2, 6 inches, 5 up save and 10 wounds, and he has his flamer. So, I mean, the flamer isn't absolutely brilliant. The deluge isn't that great. I mean, there's a 4 really close range, but normally, you know, I do like flamers, but this Burna Boy is not my favorite operative, and to be honest, I usually like to leave him out. If I'm playing against a horde team, then lots of operatives, I obviously take him along. But what I found is against a standard team or an elite team, I generally leave him out and I take another Kommando Boy instead. I've had some success with him, and I usually like I say, to take flamers into the kill zone, but I found that leaving him out is usually the best thing to do. His flamers just don't compare to a slugger and a chopper, so I just take another boy. And they also have smoke grenades and stun grenades as well, so really he just gets left on the bench. I'm going to give the Burna Boy a final score of 3 out of 5. It's quite a mediocre 3 out of 5. Let's look at the next operative for the Kill Team Commandos. Kommando Comms Boy is 2 APL, a 6-inch move, a 5 up save and 10 wounds. He has a ranged weapon called Shocker Pistol. It's 6 attacks, hitting on 4s, 1, 0 damage, range 8, devastating 2, severe and stun. And he has a melee option called Fists, which is 3 attacks, hitting on 3s and 3/4 damage. So, you know, he's got the same core stats, but his Shocker Pistol, as you can see, is pretty terrible. I mean, you do get 6 attacks hitting on 4s, you know, so you're going to get like 3 hits, but the 1 damage and there's, you know, the dev 2, it's really, really lame. But I mean, it does have severe and stun. It's not a strong weapon, but I suppose he's got something, you know, just in case there's, you know, a chance. He's also got a unique rule and a special action. His unique rule is called I Gotta Plan Lads. And once during each of this operative's activations, it can perform the pickup marker or place marker or a mission action for 1 less AP. So this is useful if you play the approved ops mission pack, because some of the crit ops in there use the pickup marker action, and also you've got your tac ops as well. They class as mission actions. So if you play using those missions, then this operative is usually worth taking for that. And he's also got a unique special action called Listen In. It's 1 action point, it's a support action, and you select 1 friendly commando's operative, excluding bomb squig, visible to and within 6 inches of this operative until the end of that operative's next activation. Add 1 to its APL stat. This operative cannot perform this action while within control range of an enemy operative. So the Comms Boy has the same type of special action as the Boss Nob. He gets to transfer 1 APL to a friendly operative that's visible to and within 6 inches of him, and it's more or less exactly the same. The only difference is that the Comms Boy can do this when he counteracts and the Boss Nob can't, but they can both pass APL during their activations. I do like to use this operative, and I like to use him as a guard on my territory objective. I like to keep him back in my territory on my objective. He isn't really any good at sending up the board to fight, and he isn't really any good to shoot because his Shocker Pistol is, well, shocking. But staying back in support to pass APL and also to keep on my objectives is really, it's a good job for him. I generally always take him because the ability to pass APL is very strong, and I'm going to give him a 4 out of 5 just because of his special action. This kill team really benefits greatly from having 2 operatives that can pass APL to other operatives. Let's look at the next operative for the Commandos kill team. Kommando Dakka Boy is 2 APL, 6-inch move, 5 up save and 10 wounds. He has 1 weapon, a ranged weapon. It's called Dakka Shooter. It's got 2 profiles. The short range profile is 5 attacks hitting on 4, 3/4 damage, range 6 inches and ceaseless. And the Dakka Shooter long range profile is 5 attacks hitting on 4s, 3/4 damage. And his melee option is called Fists. It's 3 attacks hitting on 3s and 3/4 damage. So essentially, you know, he has one option, the Dakka shooter, but it has a short range and long range. You get that on lots of data cards. The 5 attacks is great, hitting on 4s isn't brilliant, but the 3/4 damage, you know, it's a very decent weapon, but he's made a lot stronger by his special action. His special action is the reason we take him, and I think it's absolutely brilliant. It's called Dakka Dash, and it costs 1 action point. So you perform a free dash action and a free shoot action with this operative in any order, and you can only select a Dakka shooter for that shoot action. The operative cannot perform this action while it has a conceal order or while it's within control range of an enemy operative. So the Dakka Dash is just absolutely brilliant. You know, you've got to use the Dakka shooter, you can't use grenades, but that's fine. I use it all the time, and it makes this operative almost act like a proper 3 APL operative. Now, there are countless times that I dash out from behind the wall of a terrain feature to then have line of sight on a valid target. I offload my Dakka shooter, and then after the shoot action is finished, I just reposition to the next terrain feature to hide and wait for the next victim. It's completely brilliant, special action, and makes this operative a ton of fun to play. He is one of the best gunline operatives in the kill team. I actually think he's the second best. We'll get to the best a little bit later on. But if I was you, I would always take this operative and learn the special action and practice it until you're really good at getting the most out of it. I'm going to score Dakka Boy a massive 5 out of 5. It's a proper attacking model, and you should use it aggressively in the kill zone. Let's look at the next operative for Kill Team Commandos. Kommando Rokkit Boy, 2 APL, 6-inch move, a 5-up save and 10 wounds. He has a ranged weapon with 2 profiles. It's called Rocket Launcher. The aimed profile is 6 attacks, hitting on 4s, 4/5 damage, and it has the Blast 1, Ceaseless and Heavy Dash Only weapon rules. And the Rocket Launcher mobile profile has 6 attacks, hitting on 4s, 4/5 damage and Blast 1. And his melee option's called Fists. It's 3 attacks hitting on 3s with 3/4 damage. So the Rokkit Boy doesn't have any special actions or unique rules. He just goes into the kill zone armed with his trusty rocket launcher. The aimed profile is definitely the best because you get the ceaseless weapon rule, but the mobile profile, it's still, you know, very, very decent at taking out targets. This operative is, I think, the best gunline operative in the whole kill team, and you really should try to keep him safe at the back of the board or on some vantage terrain to try and get accurate one on his weapon profile. This kill team needs a solid performer with a ranged weapon that can do lots of damage, and this operative fills that niche quite nicely. If you're patient and use him properly, you should take out some pretty big targets with him. I'm going to score him a maximum 5 out of 5. His rocket launcher is an invaluable weapon for this kill team, and it would be hard to win games without it. Kommando Slasha Boy is 2 APL, 6-inch move, 5-up save and 10 wounds. He's got a ranged option called Throwing Knives. It's 4 attacks hitting on 3s, 2/5 damage, range 6 inches and silent. And his melee option is Twin Choppers. It's 4 attacks hitting on 3s with 4/5 damage, ceaseless and lethal 5-ups. So basically the throwing knives aren't that great on the normal damage, but the 4 attacks and 3s is fine. The range 6 inches is decent, and the silent is really good. That means he can obviously throw knives with a conceal order, so he doesn't have to expose himself and go on to engage. And the Twin Choppers is a solid weapon. I mean, the ceaseless and lethal 5-ups makes it really, really good. He does have a unique rule as well, and it's called Is That All You Got? After this operative fights or retaliates, if it wasn't incapacitated, you can inflict D3 damage on the enemy operative in that sequence. So this rule is a little fun mechanic that adds a little bit of extra damage to anyone who it fights or retaliates against. And D3 wounds doesn't sound like a lot, but I have had lots of games where Slasha Boy got charged into, and after he'd retaliated, he then did his That All You Got roll. He rolled a 5 or a 6 and did 3 wounds of damage, and that was enough to either injure or sometimes even kill the enemy outright. So, you know, in kill team, every little helps. I think the Slasha Boy is a solid enough operative, and I'm going to give him a 4 out of 5. I mean, the fact that he's got a really, really strong weapon and he gets to do extra damage with his unique rule, and the fact he can use the throwing knives while he has a conceal order, I think putting it all together, I think he's just a bit too strong to give a 3 out of 5. So I'm just going to push the boat out. And I've played, like I say, 50 games with this kill team. The Slasha Boy does deserve a very solid 4 out of 5. Kommando Snipa Boy, 2 APL, 6-inch move, 5 up save and 10 wounds. He has one weapon, it's a scoped big shooter, but it has 3 profiles. The first profile is concealed, it's 5 attacks hitting on 3s, 3/3 damage, devastating 2, heavy, silent, and it has concealed position weapon rule. And then you have the scoped big shooter stationary, which is 5 attacks hitting on 3s, 3/3 damage, devastating 2 and heavy. And then you have the sweeping profile, which is 5 attacks hitting on 3s, 3/4 damage, heavy, dash only and torrent 1. And for a melee option he has fists, which is 3 attacks hitting on 3s and 3/4 damage. So he's another range specialist. You know, he's especially you're going to take one of these, and if you do, you take him with his scope big shooter. It's a fairly decent weapon. I mean, 5 attacks hitting on 3s is really good. And the damage, obviously 3/3 or 3/4 on the sweeping, 3/3 on the other 2 profiles with devastating 2. So the concealed profile as well does have a unique weapon rule, and it's called concealed position. Now, this operative can only use this weapon the first time it's performing the shoot action during the battle. So essentially, you know, this rule is really good, and I suppose it's really simple as well. The first time you perform the shoot action, you can use the concealed profile. Now, the concealed profile is exactly the same as the stationary profile, except it has the silent weapon rule, which means you can shoot while on a conceal order. So what I like to do is I like to get my Snipa Boy in a good position during turning point 1. I'll deploy him with conceal, then I'll like reposition dash, you know, usually onto vantage terrain if I can. And then in turning point 2, I will try to use my concealed position, and that way I don't have to put my Snipa Boy onto engage until turning point 3. He's another, you know, range weapon specialist. His weapon is really good apart from the heavy weapon rule, which makes him, you know, a little bit less playable because you obviously can't shoot if you move him. He does have the torrent profile, you know, where he can dash, the sweeping profile, but generally you need to put him in a good position and just keep him there. I'm going to give the Snipa Boy a 4 out of 5. He is really useful as like a long range fire support, and if you get him into a really good tactical position, and then you can light up the enemy from afar. Kommando Boy, 2 APL, 6-inch move, 5 up save and 10 wounds. The Kommando Boy has a ranged weapon called Slugger. It's 4 attacks hitting on 4s, 3/4 damage and range 8 inches. And their melee option is called Chopper. It's 4 attacks hitting on 3s with 4/5 damage. So this is the standard operative that you can take multiple times. All the other operatives so far are mandatory. The Boss Nob is a mandatory option. All the rest are you can choose, but you can only take one. They're specialist operatives. If you wanted to, you could take the Boss Nob, and you could take just 9 Kommando Boys to make up the 10 operatives in your kill team. You can take this character as many times as you like. The Kommando Boy does have a unique rule, and it's called Tactical Whatnots. You can do each of the following once per turning point. One friendly Kommando Boy operative can perform the smoke grenade action, and one friendly Kommando Boy operative can perform the stun grenade action. The rules for these actions are found in Universal Equipment. Performing these actions using this rule doesn't count towards their actions, i.e. if you select those grenades from equipment. So essentially, you know, you can throw smokes and stun grenades, and you can also take smokes and stun grenades as well. When you select an equipment option, you can either choose 2 smokes to use in the battle, you can choose 2 stun grenades in the battle, or you can choose 1 of each, and that's it. You get to, with these, you can do this once per turning point. So essentially you can throw up to 4 smoke grenades, and if you take another Kommando Boy, you know, you can throw up to 4 stun grenades as well. It's really, really strong rule. It's immeasurably useful. I mean, being able to throw smoke grenades and not have to take them as an equipment option is incredibly strong. Smoke grenades are absolutely brilliant for surviving your operatives, because when your operatives are in smoke, they have the obscuring rule and your enemy can't score crits against you, and also they have to remove one of their normal attack dice. So if they scored, you know, a crit and 2 hits, they have to downgrade the crit to a normal hit, remove one of the normal hits, so they end up with just 2 normal hits. Now, I don't use the stun grenade option that often. I don't use the stun grenades that often myself, but I use the smoke grenades all the time. I nearly always drop the Burna Boy so I can take an extra boy, so I have 2 of them, and they are that useful. You can only throw 1 smoke per turning point, but if one gets killed, then I have another one to carry on doing his job. My advice is to learn this operative's rules and practice them in all of your games. Set yourself a target to throw at least 1 smoke grenade every game and see for yourself how good they are. I'm going to score the Kommando Boy a well-deserved 5 out of 5. Let's look at the next operative for Kill Team Kommandos. Kommando Bomb Squig. 2 APL, 6-inch move, 5 up save and 5 wounds. The ranged option is called Explosives. It's 6 attacks hitting on 4s, 4-5 damage, blast 1 inches, limited 1 with the unique weapon rule Explosive. And the melee option's called Bite. It's 3 attacks hitting on 4s with 4-5 damage. So as you can see from the stat line, you know, this is not like a standard operative. He's still got the 2 APL and 6-inch move, but he's only got a 5 up save, or sorry, the same as the rest, but he's only got 5 wounds instead of 10 or 14. He is easy to kill. His explosives weapon is the one we're going to look at first. Now this Kommando Bomb Squig has actually got 4 special rules. We've got the unique rules, we've got explosive, boom, and then on the other card here, we have stupid and expendable. So we're just going to quickly go through all of these, and the first one I'm going to look at is this unique weapon rule. It's on the explosives range weapon where it says, you know, explosive. This operative can perform the shoot action with this weapon while within control range of an enemy operative. Don't select a valid target. Instead, this operative is always the primary target and cannot be uncovered or obscured. Sorry, cannot be uncovered or obscured. Now this rule is quite often misunderstood, and when I've been playing, you know, this team in Kill Team and the Wrecker crew in Kill Team, they've got some bomb squigs. But essentially it allows you to perform a shoot action while within control range. The bomb squig targets itself in some type of suicide attack, and then it hits all the other targets around it within 1 inches as secondary targets, and that will also include any other any other commando operatives that, you know, happen to be within its control range. Now when you attack yourself, you roll the attack dice, and then you obviously roll your 3 defense dice. If you kill yourself, which you do most of the time, then you just leave the model there, and then you resolve the attacks against all other operatives within 1 inches of it as secondary targets before you remove the model from play. Obviously if you survive, you just keep him there. Now I personally love my bomb squigs, and I think they're absolute fun, and they give out quite a lot of damage, and quite often they destroy themselves in the process as well. So the explosives weapon rule is unique. It is a ranged weapon, but it's done within control range. So you don't obviously alternate dice with strikes and parries. It's like a shoot attack. You just tally all the damage together, and then your opponent rolls their 3 defense dice, even though you're doing it within control range. It's not that difficult. It's quite simple, really. It's just a bit of a quirky way of doing it. Next, we'll look at the other rule, which is called boom. If this operative is incapacitated during a battle in which it hasn't used its explosives, roll 1d6 or 2d6 if you wish. If any result is higher than a 4, this operative performs a free shoot action with its explosive before it's removed from the kill zone. So this rule is quite easy to understand, I think, except for the 2d6 if you wish part. Why would you sometimes choose 1d6 and other times why would you choose 2d6? Well, the answer is because you might have your own operatives within 1 inches of it when it was killed. So if you have one of your own operatives within 1 inches of it, then you'll roll 1d6 and you'll hope that you score less than a 4, because if you score a 4 or higher, you have to perform the shoot action, and that means one of your operatives is going to get caught in the blast range and obviously probably take some damage. But if you only have enemy operatives surrounding you, then you're going to choose 2d6 and you're going to hope that one of them is higher than a 4, because then you can perform a shoot action against each of those enemy operatives that's surrounding you. Some people try to blow them up after they were killed as well. If the bomb squig obviously gets killed and there's nothing around him, nothing within its control range, they do this to try and farm wrecker points, but this isn't allowed because it says in the rule to perform a free shoot action, but to perform a free shoot action there must be a valid target, and if there are no valid targets within its control range, then obviously it can't self-explode. So a few people like to do this, you know, to try and farm wrecker points, but it actually technically doesn't work. The best thing with the bomb squigs is to always have them an inch away from your own operatives, because if they do blow up, if someone does come around and flank you and shoot one of your bomb squigs and it blows up, then it can't hit your own operatives. So that's the boom rule. We've gone through explosive, we've gone through boom. I'll now flick to the other card, and we're now on the second card. The next rule we're going to look at is called stupid. Now, in the firefight phase, whenever you determine this operative's order, you cannot select conceal. This operative cannot perform any actions other than charge, dash, fight, reposition and shoot, and it cannot use any weapons that aren't on its data card. The stupid rule is really straightforward, really. I mean, you deploy your bomb squig with the conceal order, but then the first time you activate it, you must switch it to an engage order, and then it must stay on engage for the rest of the game. And it can't do any other actions but the one stated on its card: charge, dash, fight, reposition and shoot. Essentially, you know, it can't perform mission actions like scoring tac ops, and it can't score objectives, and it can't, you know, open hatchways or breach points or anything like that. So that's the stupid rule. And then we've got the expendable rule. This operative is ignored for your opponent's kill elimination op when it's incapacitated and when determining your starting number of operatives. It's also ignored for victory conditions and scoring VPs if either require operatives to escape, survive or be incapacitated by enemy operatives. If it escapes, survives or is incapacitated, determining how many operatives must escape, survive and be incapacitated, etc. So it's another kind of rule that kind of goes on a bit, but essentially, like I said earlier in the video, you know, this is a 10-11 operative kill team, but essentially for scoring purposes, it's a 10 operative kill team because you don't count the bomb squig. Even though you have 11 models, if you take the bomb squig and the grot, which you probably always would, you wouldn't class the bomb squig as a scoreable model. So on the kill grade sheet, it's a 10 operative kill team because the bomb squig obviously doesn't count. So it makes him really good for harassing and annoying your opponent during the game because he has to wait action points to get rid of him, and he doesn't score anything for it. All in all, the bomb squig are a little tricky to play because they have so many rules and restrictions, but it is definitely one of the most fun and unique operatives in Kill Team. The bomb squig for me personally gets a maximum 5 out of 5. No Orcs Kill Team would be the same without a bomb squig. Now let's look at the last operative for the Commandos Kill Team. Kommando Grot, 2 APL, 6-inch move, 5 up save and 5 wounds. The Grot has 1 weapon, it's called Grot Chopper, it's 3 attacks, hitting on 4s with 1/4 damage. So the Grot is another one of these you know, half selections with the bomb squig. Instead of taking an operative, you can take a Grot and bomb squig. You always should because they really are fun to play, but naturally from his weapon profile, you know, it's crap. You know, 3 attacks on 5s, 1/4 damage. I mean, the crits are actually pretty decent, I suppose. But the best thing about the Kommando Grot is he has a unique rule and it has a special action, and it does make the Grot a massively playable operative. The unique rule is called Sneaky Zogger. This operative cannot have an engage order. Whenever this operative is in cover, it cannot be selected as a valid target, taking precedence over all other rules, example seek and vantage terrain, except being within 2 inches. So the rule is really brilliant actually, because it makes the Grot incredibly difficult to select as a valid target, and the Grot is also a tiny model that's easy to hide, which means your opponent will have a terrible time trying to shoot it off the board. Most of the games I've played, it can survive until the end of the game and you don't have to worry too much about where you place it, because you know it's just really hard to actually target. Obviously, if your opponent gets within 2 inches or charges you in fights, then it can die quite easily. But if you're sneaky, you can then hide the Grot and it should be okay in most of the games you play. So that makes the Grot super useful. It's incredibly hard to target and your opponent, you know, really has to work hard. And he's also got a grappling hook special action. It's 1 action point. You select the visible point on a terrain feature for this operative, remove this operative from the kill zone and set it back up within 1 inches horizontally of that point in a location it can be placed, not within control range of enemy operatives, and with that point visible to it. This operative cannot perform the operate hatch action during this action, and this action is treated as a reposition action. This operative cannot perform this action while within control range of an enemy operative or during an activation in which it performed the charge or fall back action, or vice versa. This special action should be learned and practiced as well, because it makes your Grot operative absolutely brilliant at taking empty objectives. You can literally move him from one side of the kill zone to the other by selecting a point on a terrain building. Volkus is brilliant for this because of the 2 strongholds and the 2 ruins, and they allow the Grot a massive amount of flexibility in its movement, especially if there's an objective marker, you know, which is right next to the building, because you can just attach to the building and then just drop down, and it's really, really strong. I've played tons of games where I've had the Grot hidden right until the last activation of the turning point, and then I've used its grappling hook, you know, to move and then take an objective. The Grot is one of the best operatives for scoring objectives in any of the kill teams I own. I'm going to score this tiny little Grot massive and maximum score of 5 out of 5. It will help massively if you just take the time to learn its rules and if you practice them. That brings us to the end of all of the operatives available to you when you're selecting your Commando's kill team. Next, let's look at the faction equipment for kill team Commandos. Next up, we're going to look at the Commando's faction equipment, and there are 4 options to choose from. We have Choppas, Collapsible Stocks, Dynamite and Harpoon. Faction equipment, Choppas. Friendly Commando operatives, excluding Bomb Squig and Grot, have the following melee weapon. Note that some operatives already have this weapon, but with better stats. In that instance, use the better version. And the melee profile is Chopper, and it's 3 attacks hitting on threes with 4/5 damage. So, in my opinion, there are 5 operatives with the melee profile of Fist. You have the Burna, Comms, Dakka, Rokkit, Snipa Boys. If you take this equipment option, then they'll all get an upgraded melee profile. Instead of the Fist profile, you'll use this instead. So instead of 3 attacks hitting on threes with 3/4 damage, they all get 3 attacks hitting on threes with 4/5 damage. Now, I personally don't take this equipment option because it just doesn't upgrade their melee weapons enough. And they're all ranged operatives anyway, so you'll be using their APL to perform shoot actions. The only real use for this equipment is if someone charges into you and you have to retaliate. I think you should definitely take some universal equipment, and I would highly recommend taking some crack grenades or some light barricades instead. The highest realistic score I can give to this equipment option is a 2 out of 5. If you've got an extra attack dice and the extra damage, you know, it might be a bit more playable and it might get a 3 out of 5, but as it is, I don't think that you should ever take this in your kill team, and you should take something else instead. I'd highly recommend crack grenades myself personally. Faction equipment, Collapsible Stocks. Add 4 inches to the range weapon rule of the following range weapons that friendly Commando operatives have: Dakka Shooter Short Range, Shocker Pistol and Slugger. Now, I generally always take this equipment option myself personally. I found that the extra 4 inches to the Dakka Boy's Dakka shooter to be massively useful, and I found that the extra inches on all of the slugger profiles is also really strong as well. I take generally the Boss Nob, the Breacha and 2 Kommandos Boy, so I get 4 sluggers, 1 Dakka shooter. The shocker pistol generally doesn't get used by me very often, but I've played about 50 games with this kill team and it has helped me once or twice with the shocker pistol as well. Now there are lots of times in the later turning points like 3 or 4 when you want to keep your operatives on an objective, so it's APL is contesting it and it's preventing the enemy from moving in and scoring it. They have to obviously shoot you off or fight you off. So adding 4 inches to your slugger profile, it can really help to give an extra range, so you can pick off injured enemy operatives and it allows them to shoot sometimes when they counteract as well. So I found playing it that way, it is actually really useful. Now I can't say that this is a massively strong equipment option, but I've found it personally, the way I play, to be very useful, and I think most people would score this lower than me, but I'm actually going to score it a 4 out of 5. The way I play my commandos, it really has helped me in Turning Point 3 and Turning Point 4 on lots and lots of occasions. Commando faction equipment, Dynamite. Once per battle, a friendly commando operative, excluding Bomb, Squig and Grot, can use the following ranged weapon. And that's Dynamite. It's 5 attacks hitting on 4s with 4/5 damage, and it has the range 4 inches, last 1, heavy reposition only, and saturate weapon rule. Now, I always take Dynamite because it's brilliant for taking out a group of models that are clumped around a terrain feature or something like a light barricade. I usually reposition within like 2 inches and then I throw the Dynamite and I can easily blow up 1 or 2 or maybe 3 operatives quite easily. And if I have an operative that survived a range attack and only has a few wounds left, maybe he's injured or maybe he's just wounded, then I'll try and use it as a suicide bomber and just blow up an enemy operative or 2. Dynamite for me is a super solid 4 out of 5. There's always a spot in every game I've played to use this equipment choice, and remember, it's any operative in the kill team that can use it during any activation or any counteraction. I mean, you don't have to assign it to a particular operative, it's any operative at any time. There's always a spot to use some Dynamite. Kill team faction equipment, Harpoon. Once per turning point, a friendly commando operative, excluding Bomb, Squig and Grot, can use the following ranged weapon. It's called Harpoon. It's 4 attacks hitting on 4s with 4/5 damage, range of 8 inches, lethal 5 up and sun. Now the Harpoon is another ranged weapon upgrade which would usually be used by an operative with a slugger, but I suppose it can be used by any operative regardless of what ranged weapons on their data cards. It can be used by any operative during any activation or counteract, and this equipment can be used once per turning point instead of once per battle, like the Dynamite. I don't think this is as good as Dynamite personally because it doesn't have the blast. You can get to use it up to 4 times in a match. It is possible, but very rarely would you actually get to do that. But it is a playable option. I actually leave this out on lots of occasions because I prefer to take some light barricades which I use to place in spots within my territory. This gives my operatives a good place to get a cover save, and I often throw a smoke grenade there so they're obscured as well. Now overall I'm only going to score this a 3 out of 5. It doesn't hit that much harder than a standard slugger, and in all the games that I've played, like I said, I'd rather take the light barricades from Universal Equipment. This brings us to the end of the faction equipment choices. Next, we're going to look at the strategy ploys for the kill team commandos. Commando strategy ploy, and as we can see, there are 4 options. You have Dakka, 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 Skulk About, Sssshhhh, and Waaagh. Commando strategy ploy, Dakka, Dakka, Dakka. Friendly commando operatives, ranged weapons have the punishing weapon rule. So the punishing weapon rule activates if you score a critical, and it allows you then to retain one of your fails as a normal success. It is a strong weapon rule, and over all the shoot actions in the turning point, it can prove to be well worth one command point, but if you don't have many shoot opportunities, then it's really never worth playing. In the strategy phase, you need to see how many ranged operatives you have left and how many opportunities they have. If there is a lot of valid targets on engage order, then you should quite often play this. And I find that when I'm playing this kill team, my melee operatives take quite a beating, and then from turning point 3 onwards, I have to make the rest of the game play out with my ranged operatives, and this strategy can be a big help. I'm going to score Dakka a very solid 4 out of 5. You will have to play this from time to time, and mostly it will be played in the later stages of the game. Commando strategy ploy, Skulk About. Whenever an enemy operative is shooting a friendly commando operative that has a conceal order, you can retain one of your defense dice as a normal success without rolling it, in addition to a cover save if any. So this is actually an incredibly strong ploy to have at your disposal, because your commandos only have a 5-up save and they can be easily shot at and won't save many of those incoming range attacks. I said earlier that I like to take light barricades to help my operatives in the kill zone, so this strategy ploy is one of the main reasons that I do that, because when they're behind terrain cover, they obviously get a cover save, which allows them to retain defense dice as a normal success without having to roll it. And this ploy will also give them another auto retain on another save, so that's 2 saves, meaning that you only have to roll one of your 3 defense dice. And if you use smokes around those light barricades, then it makes your operatives even more defensible. So that would work if, say, they're on vantage, because your light cover would obviously be obviously null. But if they were to flank around the cover and then see all of your base, so you become a valid target, well, you wouldn't get the cover save from the terrain, but you'd then still at least get 1 cover save from this ploy, because obviously you're on conceal. So you're always guaranteed to auto retain 1 save. If you're behind cover, then you're guaranteed 2 saves. And like I say, if you use smoke around those light barricades as well, then, you know, it gives you the obscuring rule. It's really, really strong. Keeping your operatives from avoiding being wounded or injured is something that you have to take seriously with this kill team, and this Skulk About ploy is brilliant at helping you keep more of your operatives alive for longer, so they go deeper into the game. And I'm going to score this a super solid 4 out of 5. You should use this quite a lot, especially in the early parts of the game, like turning point 1 and 2. Commando strategy ploy, Sssshhhh. Each friendly commando operative that's not a valid target for enemy operatives, or has a conceal order and is more than 6 inches from enemy operatives, can immediately perform a free dash action. You cannot use this ploy during the first turning point. Now, this is another solid ploy that really helps to keep your commandos alive and in the best positions possible. You can't use this in turning point 1 because, let's be honest, it would just be so overpowering it would be unfair. But from turning point 2 onwards, you can use this to perform a free dash action with some of your operatives. They can dash with an engage order as long as no one can see them as a valid target, but usually you'll be moving them in turning point 2 and sometimes in turning point 3 when they're on conceal. Now, this ploy really allows you to change the positions for lots of your operatives. I mean, I've had games on Gallo Dark where up to 7 operatives can perform a free dash action to move closer towards hatchways and objectives. And in all the other kill zones as well, you're more or less guaranteed to get several operatives to move a 3-inch dash move. This is incredibly strong, and it gives your operatives a real tactical push towards those key areas like hatchways, objectives, vantage points, accessible points, and it also moves them closer to enemy operatives that you want to charge into and fight. Now, I'm going to give this a super massive 5 out of 5. You should play this ploy until you're a master at it, and it will help you win a hell of a lot of games. Commando strategy ploy, Waaagh. Friendly commando operatives melee weapons have the balanced weapon rule. Now, this is a really good ploy and it buffs up your operatives quite well, and because it upgrades the melee weapon profile itself, that means that you get to use it when you're fighting or retaliating. The balanced weapon rule means that you can re-roll one of your attack dice. Now, I've had some games where I've performed up to 6 or 7 fights and retaliates combined, all in the same turning point. So effectively, to re-roll a dice in every one of those, it would have cost me up to 7 command points. So as you can see, there's lots of value from this, and you will save tons of CP while dealing out more damage as well. This strategy ploy is simple. It's going to get a super solid 4 out of 5, and if you play the commandos with lots of melee operatives, then you'll use this a hell of a lot more. This brings us to the end of all of the strategy ploys. Let's dive in and look at the firefight ploys for the Commandos kill team. Kommando firefight ploy. We have 4 as usual, and we have Just a Scratch, Krump Em, Kunnin But Brutal, Shake It Off. Kommando firefight ploy, Just a Scratch. Use this firefight ploy when an attack dice inflicts normal damage on a friendly commando operative, excluding Squig and Grot. Ignore that inflicted damage. So this is a classic kill team ploy that's been around for years and years, and it's really useful, and I've used mine time and time again. You'll find there are lots of occasions where removing the damage from one normal hit is enough to either win a fight, survive, or just remain uninjured. Having the option to do this for a command point during an activation can be really, really strong, and this can be used when you're defending from range attacks, fighting, like I say, or retaliating. There'll be plenty of times you can use this if you have command points available. I'm going to score this a super solid 4 out of 5. It is a really useful firefight ploy, but obviously must be used sparingly because of the relatively high CP cost. Let's look at the next firefight ploy for Commando's kill team. Kommando firefight ploy, Krump Em. Use this firefight ploy at the end of the firefight phase. Select one friendly commando operative, and it can immediately perform a free fight action. This can be super useful if you time it right and you have the CP available. It's really simple to use and can massively affect how the next turning point will start. When it's the last activation of the turning point and the firefight phase comes to an end, you can play this ploy, which allows one of your operatives to perform a free fight action. Now, it doesn't matter if you or your opponent is the last person to activate. As long as all the activations and all the counter actions have been completed, it's the end of the turning point, then you can declare this ploy and you can select one of your operatives that's in engagement range already of an enemy operative to fight again. It's really simple. I've had loads of games where I've charged in and then spent like an action point to fight, and I failed to kill the enemy operative, say on an objective or in front of a hatchway or something. So I just play this and then I get to fight them again. And there's also times when they've charged into me and they've tried to kill one of my operatives and obviously failed, and it's obviously in the way. So at the end of the turn, I just spend a CP and finish them off. It's a really solid ploy, and I'm going to score it a simple 4 out of 5. And at the end of every turning point, really, you should look to see if this is worth playing and if you have the command points available. Kommando firefight ploy, Shake It Off. Use this firefight ploy when a friendly commando operative is activated or when its APL stat is changed. Until the start of the next turning point, you can ignore any changes to its APL stat. This ploy has been useful from time to time, and it allows you to essentially remove the -1 AP effect that your operative is suffering from. One of the most common reasons for this are things like stun grenades, and there's also some operatives that have special actions, that can reduce an operative's APL. So if your operative is, at that -1 APL effect stage, then you can use this ploy and just remove that token and carry on your activation as normal. The Commando's kill team have only got 2 APL, so losing one and becoming 1 APL is a really big setback. I hate it when I'm setting up some charges and then, I want to perform some fights and kill some enemy, and then one of my opponents uses like a stun grenade or a ploy and obviously knows what I'm about to do, and he reduces the APL. I mean, having this at my disposal means I can plan ahead, and sometimes I can still get at least one of my charge and fight activations completed. It is quite expensive and you need to have CP available, but you will find use for this, during your battles. I'm going to score this a very decent 3 out of 5. It can be useful sometimes, but you probably won't use it in every single game. Kommando firefight ploy, Kunnin But Brutal. Use this Firefight ploy when a friendly Kommando operative that has a conceal order is fighting during an activation in which it performed the charge action. You're resolving the first attack dice and it's a strike with a normal success, then treat that normal success as a critical success instead. Now, I haven't used this a lot at all in many of my games. I mean, I found that there just aren't enough times where it would be worth spending a whole command point to upgrade a hit to a crit. It's only realistically going to help deal another 1 point of damage. If it's the boss's power claw, then 2 points of damage, and maybe if you wanted to upgrade a crit, like with the Breacha Boy and his shocker ram to activate the shock weapon rule. I mean, apart from that, it's very rare that it will do much at all. You might be able to kill or leave an operative injured, so if you do have a whole CP available, then it might just be worth doing it. And remember, you can't use this when retaliating, and you can only use it during a fight in which you charged and you have a conceal order as well. So all in all, this ploy is probably the least effective of all the ploys the Kommandos have, and like I say, I've probably used it like 2, maybe 3 times in about 50 games. I'm going to score it a very lowly 1 out of 5. You will find out for yourselves that it's practically useless. Now that brings us to the end of the Firefight ploys, and we're nearly at the end of the video as well. Next, I'm going to leave you with my final verdict on the Kommandos kill team. So here we are at the end of the video where I'm going to give you my final verdict on the Kommandos kill team. Now they are a 10 operative kill team for scoring, but you can have up to 11 operatives if you drop a boy and take the Grot and the bomb squig. Remember, the bomb squig doesn't count towards your enemy's kill grade, so they can't score from killing it. Now with this team, you can't really build a gunline team, but you can take a very solid all melee team. But personally, I think it's best with a mixture of both. If you want to try playing with all of the options available to you, then you should try magnetizing them or just buy a second box so you can make up all of the operatives. On the positives, now this kill team has a really simple but fun faction rule, and if you learn and practice playing with them, then you can have some real tactical games that drive your opponents absolutely crazy, trying to deal with so many operatives scattered around the board with a conceal order and still posing, a threat from charges. The faction equipment and ploys are also worth mentioning. They have some excellent choices, but generally they tend towards making melee combat operatives more resourceful and giving them extra firepower, but the whole selection does well to make the kill team play competitively. Some of my favourite mentions as far as models and data cards go in this kill team is all of them. Really, honestly, I think that every operative in this kill team is a brilliant character. The sculpts are absolutely amazing. I have to say the amount of kit bashing in this box when assembling them is really, really good. And all of the data cards give you a selection of operatives that can be played in a way that gives you an almost endless amount of deployment options and fun to be had. On the negative side, the only real negative I can find is that there are no longer tournament legal at Warhammer events. They are now what's known as declassified, along with many of the original 2nd edition kill teams. So you can still play them at local events, and their rules will still be supported in the 3rd edition for kind of, fun games. But Games Workshop have announced that declassified teams will not have any supporting rules in the 4th edition, but we still have nearly 2 years left, so there will be plenty of games and plenty of orky fun left to be had. All in all, they are a kill team that loves to be on conceal and moving in on the enemy operatives and taking the fight to them. Just remember to keep the few operatives with good range weapons, keep them far back and in ideal positions so they can assist and support those brave boys who are closing in on their enemy in their own territory. They are incredibly fun, and their faction rule is both simple and brilliant. I've enjoyed every single game I've played with this kill team, and literally there have been over 50 of them, and there are still definitely more games to be played. My final score for the Kommandos kill team is a maximum fun factor 5 out of 5. I've had a great time making this video. Thanks for watching Let's Get Critical. Have a great day. Bye bye.